This episode is brought to you by Hulu Plus. Watch your favorite shows anytime, anywhere with Hulu Plus. At home or on the go on your smartphone or tablet. Shows like South Park, Key and Peele, American Horror Story, and more. Try Hulu Plus free for 2 weeks when you go to huluplus.com/screenplay. This show is sponsored by NatureBox. NatureBox ships great tasting, healthy snacks right to your door. Forget the vending machine and start snacking smarter with healthy, delicious treats like dark cocoa almonds. Support this podcast by ordering a free NatureBox sampler box at naturebox.com/screenplay.
There you go. Hey everybody,
what's going on?
You are watching Screenplay, and that is some fake static because in digital TVs there's no actual static in snow anymore. I don't think in digital services.
That's just blue screens now.
Yeah, everything goes to blue. Kind of miss that stuff. Anyway, hey, I'm joined by Chris Demarais, Brandon Farmahini, and Mr. Blaine Gibson. And Chris, what are you this week?
I'm a geneticist.
A geneticist?
Yes. Well, sorry.
I
We were all discussing what my career should be.
Didn't someone
Blaine
throw
was
out?
like, you should be a genetic scientist. You mean a geneticist?
A geneticist?
No, it was not that. We both looked at each other and we said geneticist at the same time.
I thought you were going with proctologist.
Ass-man.
No, not today.
Geneticist almost sounds like a
not the
really...
weekend.
Yeah.
almost sounds like a really awful Terminator movie. But Gen Ice. See what I did? Really quickly, before we start the show, I just want to give a heads up to one of our fans just watched the show who sent me this really cool homemade American Horror Story shirt that she did herself, which is pretty cool. So thank you, Blow Me Bitch 32. You have a sweet heart and you're a nice person. But it's cool. It says, like, we lived in the murder house, we escaped asylum, we protected the coven, we will attend the freak show, and it's really cool. So,
Huge thanks to Blow Me Bitch.
I've had people with email addresses like that email me about a job.
Oh, wow.
Well, there's a different. I mean, it's a strategy.
that's a different job.
Yeah.
That's a whole different field you'd be working in. But to check in,
I mean, we hired Blaine.
it's true. Blow Me Bitch 31. No, I'm kidding. Let's go to Mandy, Mullarkey, or Andy. I actually called your real name. Let's check you out in the video store. How you doing, Andy?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing great. Awkward.
Totally awkward.
I love checking the comments for last week's episode, and it's like, Mandy. And
Fuck Brandon, fuck Blaine. Mandy.
No, this we have to talk about because last week we had Natalie Dormer on the show, and then there were all these white knights that showed up on white horses, like in the Reddit comments and then on the Rooster Teeth comments, that were like, yeah, Natalie Dormer's okay, but Mandy is beautiful, and she is like, you know, and not to knock on you, Mandy, but it was just like, I just feel like as those guys know Natalie Dormer isn't gonna read the comments, but they know that Mandy might, so they're like, you're saying there's a chance.
Oh, wait. That was a Dumb and Dumber reference.
It was a Dumb and Dumber
We're not
reference.
going to talk about
No,
that.
we are going to talk about Dumb and Dumber here in a bit because two of us, I believe, have seen Dumb and Dumber 2, and two of us have seen the Mockingjay Part 1.
Fucking bad.
What? Huh? Oh,
I'll tell more.
we'll talk about it here in a
frustrating.
bit. But before we go, let's go really quickly to Mandy. Why don't you listen to our movie quote of the week is?
Okay. It is, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm
I think
all
I
out
know
of
that one.
bubblegum.
I'm all
Remember
out of
to say
bubblegum.
who said it and from what movie.
Man.
Obey.
It's crap. Like, the first thing that comes to my mind is Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah.
Come get some.
that game was full of references.
Oh, Duke Nukem?
Mm-hmm.
And pixelated nudity.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, totally. That was huge.
Spacebar.
If you were far enough away, it almost didn't look pixelated.
And you took your glasses off. It's like, well, I can't tell if that's because my glasses are off. Or...
So wait, so you did the spacebar and then you backed
back
up. You didn't like accidentally fire and like blow her up.
I
with
did a few
missile?
times. I blew up a lot of strippers in my day. I'm not proud of it. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. You're watching the Duke Nukem 3D podcast. I'll Duke Nukem all the time. That's a movie that never got made.
Duke Nukem?
Yeah, that was one of those movies that was rumored for years and years and years.
What's another good movie that...
Just like the game. That's
Yeah, just like, no, the game came out.
Finally.
Eventually.
Yeah.
What are some other like movies that they just been pushing and they're going to make them and then they just didn't, they kind of fizzled out?
Halo is the biggest one.
Halo, that's right.
It was like, oh, Peter Jackson Halo, Peter Jackson Halo.
Neil Blomkamp Halo, Neil Blomkamp
Yeah, Peter
Halo.
Jackson wanted Neil Blomkamp, and Microsoft was like, no, we need the Hobbit Man.
Boy, did they fuck up because
they done
Neil
fucked up.
Blomkamp is just killing it. Well, Elysium was all right, but
Chappie looks okay.
Chappie looks great.
Yeah, we talked about
and,
that.
What was that movie? District 9.
Elysium and District 9,
District
right?
9 was so good.
Yeah, District 9's amazing.
That was a fun movie to watch.
So remember, if you know the quotes, the answer to the quotes, tweet us RT Screenplay if you have any comments or suggestions about what we're talking about. RT Screenplay. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can always leave comments underneath. So let's talk a little bit about... so is there anything about the Mockingjay you guys want to know about? Because there's some things about Dumb and Dumber that I'd like to know about.
You don't want to know anything about that.
See, is it really that bad, Chris? Blaine's been talking mad shit.
It was very disappointing. I'm a huge,
That's an understatement.
huge fan of Dumb and Dumber. It's like, I think it's my favorite comedy film.
Yeah.
And I went in, you know, hopeful, but with low expectations.
Yeah.
I still came out disappointed.
Yeah.
It was just bad. It's a bad movie. There were some funny parts, but there was no...
Like saving grace.
Here's the issue with the movie. All right, Dumb and Dumber. It's two stupid people in the normal world, right? And everything else about that world is regular, like everyday life.
Yeah.
This movie is two stupid people surrounded by a bunch of other stupid people in a farcical, pretend, like silly world.
Yeah.
Is this
It was like the
were these the
Simpsons
Farrelly
world.
brothers
Yes.
who did this?
It was.
So it was
Yeah.
more like every other one of their movies. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
because
missed the tone of like what made Dumb and Dumber.
Everything that made Dumb and Dumber good was not in it. But they thought probably, oh, if we throw in these references, which there were many of, it still sucked ass. And it just made it seem like old. It was just like...
That's a bummer.
They were just retreading old ground. Like the twist and like kind of like the villains. It was the same villains.
I hated
pretty
the
much.
villains.
Yeah, they're terrible.
You know, it's funny you say that because, like, kind of reach out into TV. It's like that's how I felt about The Office. Is that Steve Carell was this weird guy, right? And he existed in an office with pretty normal people, but he was so weird that it was odd. And then when he left, everyone in the show got wonky and weird, and they made it like really, really like over the top. And I guess I could see that with like that is the charm of Dumb and Dumber 1 is like two idiots in a real world.
Well, yeah, you need the straight man.
But there was like... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do you think that they were more making each other laugh? Like, do you feel like the movie was very self-indulgent as opposed to doing what was best?
I mean, here's the deal: is Jim Carrey, like, well, they committed, like performance-wise, they committed to
Phoning
really.
in my opinion,
I think they like really put themselves out there and they were trying, but it was just I think it was just a bad script.
Yeah,
and I don't know, just bad direction.
let me set the stage for you. We were in the Alamo Draft House. Which
It was a full.
Right, so
that was for
I don't know
sale.
what it was, but okay, it was a 2-hour-long movie, and I felt every single minute of it. And
That's a bummer.
And the theater was warm, which made me more aggravated. And I remember sitting.
Is this a Yelp review?
No, I remember sitting next to Lynn, Aaron Marquise's brother, and I kept on leaning over to him and was just like, "This is bullshit. Fuck this movie." And I just like kept like the whole movie. I just kept leaning over. I was like, "I hate this." Like it was so painful to watch.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It was like there was supposed to be like a laugh track to the movie, but like even the audience was just kind of like, like it wasn't a good audience to see it with either. They laughed sometimes.
I mean, there were some people who we saw it with. They were like, "Oh, I think it was just as good as the original."
Whoa,
that's not true. I mean, any true fan of Dumb and Dumber would not say that anyway. And I don't mean that in like a snobby way. I just mean it's just not as good.
Are you a pretentious Dumb and Dumber fan?
They had a decent defense though, because one of the people we saw it with was like, well, when did you see Dumb and Dumber 1? I was like, well, when I was a kid. And they're like, you see, it's like we kind of have it nostalgia, like it's tied to our childhood memories, but still, like
that's why
you can go and watch that. I watched
it. Still holds up.
Yeah. I saw the movie a week or two ago, and it's like it's still really fun.
Good.
But there's just like so many parts. Like it was trying to mimic like The Simpsons and Family Guy. Like there's parts where like like he was saying it's all realistic in the real world. Well, this one it's like fantasy, and then they're doing parts where they're like cutting to segments. Like throughout Dumb and Dumber 1, you're following these guys on their journey, and you never like cut away from them, and everything that happens in the movie goes to the bigger picture. This one, they had like gags planned. Like there's this thing, it's like a gag where someone loses their hearing, so they got to find these hearing aids. So then they go to like a nursing home. It was just like all these like planted gags that just like shit. Like
you know what? Like I'm bored listening to your story about it, so I can only imagine the movie's bad.
It was so terrible. Don't go see it, please do not go see it.
This episode brought to you by Dumb and Dumber.
All right, Debbie Downer.
Nah, it's just bad.
Oh wait, let's look at to merge the two stories of Mockingjay and Dumb and Dumber, which is really interesting. They went head to head in theaters this past weekend. The thing is, Jennifer Lawrence had a cameo in Dumb and Dumber 2. She played Frida Felcher.
Yeah, she was supposed to be. So remember the old lady, in the flashback.
She's younger Kathy Bates, or not Kathy Bates, Kathy. not Kathy Bates. It's
I can't remember.
She was Serial Mom.
She had the tattoo on her back.
Oh.
That was supposed to be Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know if that was they only showed the back of that character's head.
I don't know.
In the flashback sequences.
Okay, so the whole thing is they found out they were filming in the near areas, like catching. I think one of the Hunger Games movies was filming near Dumb and Dumber 2. So they were like, hey, and she had a day off, so they went. She filmed a cameo, and she was a big fan of the original movies. I don't know if like she just saw it. She saw the scene and was like, no. Or if I don't know what happened, but she filmed a cameo. And
that didn't happen. I mean, it's like they filmed a Jennifer Lawrence cameo. It's like, we're not going to show her face.
It's tough. It's like, how do you get away with cutting an Oscar-winning actress?
Yeah.
Like, if you showed this in the trailer, more people would want to see it, even though she's barely in it.
Yeah.
You'd still get more people want to see it. Like, she's a star.
I looked at Wikipedia, and there was like a bunch of planned cameos that didn't pan out. Seabass was supposed to make a return. There was like a couple of big shots, like
they're
big
doing
actors.
the Muppet approach.
Yeah,
just get as many cameos as you can possibly
But man,
get.
that probably would have improved it because it was just so bad.
All right, well let's move on to something that is not so bad.
I mean, it hurt. I'm just saying, JJ. it hurt.
It was really painful to see a child
There should be like some sort of group that meets once a week and talks about how let down they were by Dumb and Dumber 2.
As much as that hurt my childhood seeing Dumb and Dumber 2, seeing Jurassic World trailer.
Yeah, let's bring it to that. So the Jurassic World trailer just got released, I believe yesterday or later, a couple days ago. They had a teaser trailer, which is a big thing now.
It's a trailer for the
It's a teaser for another teaser.
I hope they don't do that for Star Wars. Just saying.
They are absolutely going to do that for Star Wars.
Yeah, well, they're doing, what, an 88-second teaser trailer that's going around?
That's what
in Star Wars?
J.J. Abrams said.
Okay, so here we are. We're watching. Let me tell you what I love about this trailer. One, I love the little kind of throwbacks to the first one. You get the kind of the same feel, some of the almost the exact same shots. But I love how they took the theme song and made it creepy and haunting.
That's not John Williams.
That was the worst part of it for me. Not bad, but like it put me on edge. Like, it was unbelievably creepy. I mean, you see blood dripping from the ceiling, and that slow score.
Yeah.
Water dinosaurs.
Yeah.
No good. There's
the big water. Yeah, the Free Willy scene.
That's a huge dinosaur.
That's a big fish.
They show this giant great white shark, you know?
It's kind of like a
Jaws.
Yeah,
and
totally
then it
not.
just gets chomped like it's a fish.
Tiny. I mean, it looks cool. I mean, it's obviously, it feels like a rehash of the first story, and I'm okay with that.
I guess they were like, how can we remake this without doing the exact same thing? Like, how do we lift the stakes?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we know we want the dinosaurs. We want to do a lot more with it. Like, we want this guy to be a velociraptor trainer.
Yeah.
Because you took the villain. That was the villain from the first movie.
The guy, yeah.
And then now they're only a tool. They're being controlled. It's like, well, you need to manufacture an enemy.
So they literally did.
So they're saying like, well, what's stronger than a dinosaur? Double
Super dinosaur.
But no, we were talking about. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They're taking the Deep Blue Sea approach.
Well, no, it was cool too because like I feel like they're making it into kind of like a monster horror movie in the sense like they didn't show what the dinosaur looked like. You saw like its hand a little bit, but it's like I feel like it's gonna be kind of a Jaws approach where you're not going to see the full picture.
Oh, you have to see the dinosaur.
I'm sure show it eventually, but like it's going to be like they're going to shoot around it so that you can't see it a lot. Kind of like, I mean, Jurassic Park 1 did that a little bit with the T-Rex.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't show a lot of it, and then
you didn't see it till
just like
where'd the lamb go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that. Like, yeah. So they manufactured a new dinosaur. So you have Chris Pratt like literally running alongside the raptors, which is cool because they're not attacking him. You realize they're working together, and that's a cool little moment. I don't know. I'm very excited about it. Like, you know, it's funny how they had to take some time away and reboot it before people got excited because like by the time Jurassic Park 3 was getting released, you're like, I don't really care.
That movie was also really bad.
Peyton made a good point and said that one of the early concepts there was human dinosaur hybrids. I saw that image. It was terrible. They looked like shit.
Yeah.
Well, they were just like, well, the sequels didn't work. Well, why does the original work and the sequels didn't? It's like because you created this whole world and people like immersing themselves in a whole world. It was kind of nice in a way because I've always wanted them to do a remake of the first one where everything goes fine. Like people come in for a tour, all the dinosaurs show up, and then they open up, and everybody's happy. Because one of the last scenes of the original Jurassic Park, when John Hammond is looking at his cane and he sees the mosquito that's frozen, that broke my heart because he's looking at his dream, like his entire life's work, gone. And I saw that, and I was like, I want to see a version of this movie that's like 50 minutes and everything.
What did Chris Pratt just tweet, Blaine, earlier?
Oh, he said, check out the full length trailer. # hold on to your butts. And I was like, Chris,
because he's come out and said he's a huge Jurassic Park fan. He's even said that it was his Star Wars, like his generation. Star Wars.
He's my hero. That guy he's in.
So he gets the nerd. He gets the geek part of it. Like he's super stoked about it, and that's super awesome. And going over to more Chris Pratt news. So he just got what is it? It's Cowboy Ninja Viking.
Before we go into that, this trailer they spared no expense.
And there's no Nedry as far as we know. Maybe his son will make an appearance or something. I don't think Dennis Nedry had any kids, actually. Probably only had cats. But let's talk about Chris Pratt. He is in Cowboy Ninja Viking, which is funny. The first comment on Reddit I think summed up everything we were thinking. It's like, oh, Chris Pratt signed up for a comic book that I have no idea what it's about. It's gonna be awesome, because like that's exactly what happened in Guardians. It's a whole, and I've run into people since then. They're like, I wanted to give Guardians a chance, but I have no idea about the comic or the source material. I'm like, you don't need to. Yeah. Like you just go into it. So this is Cowboy Ninja Viking. I'm not too familiar with the comic or like who prints it, but it sounds pretty interesting. He sounds pretty stoked about it.
I'm reluctant.
Why?
R.I.P.D. Fucking Jonah Hex.
There's a lot of bad comic book adaptations like R.I.P.D. with Ryan Reynolds, and then
it's just like these ones that's like, oh, they're so quirky and fun and cool and different, and then like they make them into a movie and it sucks.
Every now and then it works, very rarely.
I think they're just excited because it keeps working. Like over the past weekend I saw Deep Hero 6, and I had no idea that was a comic book that they adapted. It just looked like one of those original Pixar type. I think Disney is the one actually who made it, Disney Animation Studios, but it looked like one of those original stories, but it's actually,
it's
now
Marvel.
Now even 3D movies are going in going and adapting comic books.
Into that vein, though, I've also heard that Disney's version of Big Hero 6 is very different than the comics. Yeah. Like, characters have been completely changed. Like, I think like the main character, might have been a female, but I do know that, spoilers if you've seen Big Hero 6, there's a character in Big Hero 6 that dresses up like a dragon and shoots fire. Like, he dresses up in a costume.
Yeah, that's not that much of a spoiler.
No, but in the comic, apparently, that guy actually turns into a dragon.
Oh.
So it's a little different.
Yeah, they couldn't do that in this world.
Yeah, because this is a very real universe, not like supernatural.
Without kicking off,
they could do it in Dumb and Dumber too.
That movie.
It was interesting in the movie when we were watching the robot. Everybody in the theater could not stop laughing when he was walking around.
Oh, it was hilarious.
When
Big Hero 6?
Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
When you heard the sound of the vinyl going against each other. But then halfway in the movie, they gave him a whole costume. And it's strange because it almost doesn't feel like the same guy.
Yeah.
Like it's the facade is completely different. It's like in Red vs. Blue, if you see Caboose without the Mark V helmet, it doesn't seem like the same guy. It's not the same face.
Yeah.
And I feel like you didn't enjoy the movie as much in the second half because you lost the charm. Now he just looked like a fat Iron Man.
If you want to,
that was an interesting choice.
If you want your complaints to be heard about Red versus Blue, I think we know a guy you could talk to about that.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's interesting how the helmet is Caboose's face. It's not a helmet.
No, I hear exactly
in the same
what you're
way,
saying.
the robot just seems like a really awesome, character and very lovable. But then you just throw a bunch of shit on him, and all of a sudden, people aren't laughing. People aren't going ooh and ah, and that's so cute.
I won't say too much, but I felt like the end of Big Hero 6 shared a little bit and similar with the end of Guardians a little bit. And I was just like, it's a little weird. Like, we just did that, and it's Marvel and Disney. You think they would have got each other? No, it's like, oh, we're doing the same ending. Ah, well, fuck it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was good. And
I haven't seen it yet.
The thing about Big Hero 6 is there's it's stories you've heard before. I still like The Incredibles more than Big Hero 6, but it's fun. And it's very, very pretty to look at. It's very, very pretty to look at. So going back to Chris Pratt, so he's in Cowboy Ninja Viking, and I had a fun little encounter on the internet this weekend. I posted a picture of me on Reddit. I think we have it. It's me. I'm pretty drunk doing karaoke over there on Egos on South Congress, and I met a fella who I was pretty sure was Chris Pratt, and he was hitting on one of my friends that night, and I was like, I was out of it. I was like, hey man, take a photo with me. I know who you are. You're Andy from Parks and Rec. Like, there it is, and I put it on Reddit. And then a couple days later, ended up on collegehumor.com, and then now it's on the Chive. So it's been pretty interesting meeting this fake Chris Pratt kind of person. But so
pointed at him, jackass.
What's that? I'm like, look, it's him. He's famous. I know him.
Did you think he was skinny Chris Pratt or
this is
fat
before Guardians? This is an old photo. This is
that can either be a very flattering mistake or a very insulting one.
Well, Chris, you showed us how to take a picture of the celebrity right. I believe you met Frodo himself.
Yeah,
I think we have
Elijah
that too.
Wood.
And with our own Monty and that was whenever was he doing the?
That was before he was in Red vs. Blue. Before we did Simple Walk.
He's a friend of a friend. He's friend of Ain't It Cool.
Oh, that's right, Eric Vespi and all those guys. There he is. There's Mr. Wood at our old slaughter location.
Yeah, that picture's pretty old. That picture's probably like 3 years old now.
Chris, you look so swole and huge.
Well, I am standing next to a hobbit.
Monty or Elijah?
All right, Brandon, take it away.
Right now, Hulu Plus has all the current season episodes of your favorite shows like How to Get Away with Murder, Once Upon a Time, and South Park. And Hulu Plus has all of the past season episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, American Horror Story, Key and Peele, and Parks and Rec. Hulu Plus works on your computers, smart TV, Roku, Apple TV, Xbox, Wii, PlayStation, pretty much any streaming device you already own. With Hulu Plus, you're in total control to stream as much as you want, whenever you want. Binge watch all the shows you're behind on or discover a new one. For only $7.99 a month, watch your favorite shows anytime, anywhere. But for a limited time, Hulu is offering our viewers a whole month free when you go to huluplus.com/screenplay. Make sure you sign up between November 20th and 30th of this year to get the extended 1 month free trial when you go to huluplus.com/screenplay. Don't worry, if you've missed the deadline, Hulu Plus will still offer our viewers a 2-week free trial as long as you go through our special link, huluplus.com/screenplay. Don't miss out on this special 1 month free offer. It helps support us to make videos and gets you a better deal.
Nice.
You know what I think is fun? I watched a recent episode of South Park, and it's season 14. Mm-hmm. I went back and I watched a few episodes from season 1, including the Halloween episode. It's my favorite. And it's crazy to see how their philosophy has changed. Like in season 1, they're just a bunch of jokes. Some of them are dick jokes, fart jokes, very crude. But then as time goes on, the students who were, the main 4, who were much more, innocent, become the sources of logic, and then they're critiquing the entire world. Yeah. So you wonder if it's Matt Parker and Trey Stone getting more mature, but you definitely see a huge shift in direction with that show, and it's such a big part of at least my childhood.
Well, I noticed something about South Park as the shows get older, they stop paying so much attention on the kids, and it starts being so much either about their friends or their parents.
Yeah,
like there's a lot. There's a lot of Randy Marsh episodes, and Randy Marsh is probably one of the easily likable characters. Yeah, I immediately think of him just like bouncing around in his like ingrown huge testicles. That episode is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Randy's the ultimate representation of the American male.
Every man.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. I would definitely recommend going and checking out the old seasons versus current. It's pretty fun.
Nice. I like whenever we're doing an ad read.
Streisand was.
Oh, yeah, the Barbra Streisand one. Yeah. That's right. I like when we're doing an ad read. You can't see everyone else on set, but everyone turns into like teenage girls at the Chick-fil-A at the mall. Everyone's just on their phone and ignoring each other. It's pretty funny. And did you guys see anything interesting on the internet while you were there?
I saw a thumbnail. It's pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was a good season. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You guys want to slow down that energy? We're getting a little bit too intense here.
I was gonna say before we got to Big Hero 6 talk, can we go to Star Wars?
You sound like Rain Man. Are you okay, Blaine?
Thanks, JJ. I was gonna buy a ticket. So they talked about the 30 theaters around the U.S. that are gonna be showing the Star Wars trailer Friday morning. I was considering just getting a ticket to Big Hero 6. And then just going in and watching the trailer.
I think
you're
the only one who's thinking of doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'm
sure there's a lot of people.
I bet
he's joking, right?
Yeah, I'm fucking joking. I'm sure everybody's doing it. I think they did that for episode 1 of Star Wars, too.
It was like on some romantic comedy or something.
I don't remember.
Yeah, they put it in front of something that had nothing to do with Star Wars.
Meet Joe Black.
Meet Joe Black.
Interesting.
Ashley Jenkins from The Know.
She knew it.
Meet Joe Black. It's a great movie. You get to see Brad Pitt like hit by 2 cars.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I'm just going to be tired that day because of Black Friday the night before. So I just want to go and see that beautiful 88 seconds. I'm really excited.
I just want to see like what are they going to show? Who's going to be in it?
It'll be on the internet like in days.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I guess they had to have a B unit there shooting a trailer at the same time because there's no way they shot the movie and then cut a trailer. While they're shooting the movie, they must have had like a dedicated crew saying, "You guys are shooting the trailer."
Well, no, you do know the trailer's made up of stuff from the movie.
They just finished wrapping. Like
Yeah,
they
but
just
they have
finished
stuff-
the movie.
yeah, but
you're not going to create like a trailer like a couple weeks
You guys
after.
sound like our Reddit comments right now. I'm going to say things about something I'm not really sure, but I'm going to say that this is what it is.
Apparently, rumor has it, which rumor has been doing pretty good because they predicted the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World trailer like to the T.
Yeah.
But apparently, it's just going to be shots of the various like cast. We're going to see the villain, and in the last shot's supposed to be the Millennium Falcon flying. So it's like very.
I just got chills.
I just saw it in my head.
I just got chills from you describing it, Blaine.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Very
Why do
little
you-
visual effects.
Why do you want to look though and read people's predictions? Don't you want to go there and like without any?
Yeah, but I'm just like a news junkie when it comes to that kind
That's
of
the
thing.
thing.
Like, I want to know.
It's one of those things where like you're like, I'm super excited about this movie. I don't want to see anything about it, but here's a link, and if I click it, behind it there might be pictures and information, and I don't want to know, but I can't not click that fucking link.
Yeah.
The problem is when you read
I'm
through
addicted.
1,000 different comments, somebody's going to be right.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many different things you can do.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be right,
Well-
and it's like somebody incepting your mind. Is that the verb of inception? With that idea, and it's. I think we talked about this before. It's just go in there and don't know anything and be surprised.
I'm just excited that the franchise is getting a second chance after the
Yeah.
new
It's going to
trilogy.
be, listen, no matter, even if it's awful, it's going to be better than the prequels. Seriously.
Yeah,
it'd be very impressive if they made them worse.
Let's not talk about that.
Like, you're scaring Blaine.
I'm
Chris,
just saying,
you're scaring Blaine.
If they make 7 and beyond worse than the prequels, and I'll be like, wow, they did a hell of a job making George
that up.
Lucas look good.
The weird thing is the cast, I feel like for episode 1 is stronger than the cast for this movie. Like I like the guy from Llewyn Davis.
Yeah,
I like the
Oscar
guy
Isaac.
from Girls, Adam Driver.
Yeah.
But I mean, Liam Neeson from the Ewan McGregor. Eventually Christopher Lee, even though he wasn't in the first movie. But like you had such good actors. It's
to play
amazing that
devil-
you still screwed up that movie.
Oh,
but-
bad
Devil's
script is a
Advocate,
bad
the
script.
first Star Wars, none of those actors no one knew who those actors
Yeah.
were.
Except for Hans.
Barely.
Yeah.
They barely. He was in what's that?
Are you talking about Harrison Ford?
Yeah, he
And,
was
American
Graffiti.
He was in American Graffiti.
Well,
He
yeah,
has
you
a
guys are
small
forgetting
part
that
in it.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He even came out and said that he wanted unknowns. Like, he went out of his
Yeah,
way
no,
to
which is
cast
cool.
unknowns because it makes it better. You can connect to this universe a little bit better. But anyway, hold on. Wait. Going back to like Black Friday, we were talking about Black Friday. I think you were.
Yes.
So there's some cool items as far as movie-centric things coming out for Black Friday. I think we're all film geeks, guys. Remember, Christmas is coming, so if you want to send us presents, don't actually send us presents. But they have a really cool Indiana
presents.
Chris isn't going to say no. We're gonna have they have a really cool Indiana Jones candle. That it's from remind me which one it's from.
Ark of the Covenant.
Raiders. There you go. It's Raiders Last Ark. It's the guy it's the Nazi whose face gets melted off. And I think most of the villains in the Indiana Jones movies are Nazis for the most part, which is
Well, except for the aliens.
we don't talk about that one
And the
here.
Russians.
I want a battery-powered pumping heart.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
Like a
Yeah.
good stress reliever.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do you got there? No one would ever come visit you at your desk, like a creepy.
God, it makes me sad about Dumb and Dumber again.
Fuck, because the little baggy.
So other cool Black Friday events that are happening. Mondo released a bunch of cool stuff. They have a Pulp Fiction print that there it is. There's the Pulp Fiction print. There's the Guardians of the Galaxy vinyl, the album, and then there's the Gremlins sweater.
That's pretty cool.
Which are all very,
I want a
very cool.
Gremlins sweater.
The Gremlin sweater is pretty fucking amazing, and they have another one, a Fargo sweater as well. You check out their website. But there's something really cool about the Pulp Fiction print that I think they've never had it before. Is that a lot of the proceeds are going to Sally Menke's foundation, and if you don't know, she's the one who like edited all of his films until she died. I think after Kill Bill, she died a few years ago. I don't know, some freak like hiking accident.
Speaking of, on the subject of gremlins and freak accidents, isn't it weird how like that girl's dad in Gremlins dies?
Which one?
I
Are you
don't
talking
remember.
about? Wait, you talking about the pretty '80s actress?
Yeah, how her dad's like, yeah, he was gonna be Santa Claus, and he like broke his neck in the chimney, and we didn't find him for days, and the smell, and it's like this really
Such a
dark
twisted story.
and creepy story
Yeah.
in the middle of like a somewhat like kind of fun
Family kind of.
It's weird.
That's pretty strange. So I had one more thing to add to the whole Star Wars discussion before.
Of course you did.
Okay, they released information on the spinoffs. Did you guys see?
Oh yeah, the Garrett Edwards.
Yeah. You were telling me about this.
Apparently, it's supposed to be a mix of Ocean's 11 and like 7 Samurai, but it's like a ragtag group of rebels, and they're actually mentioned in the title card of A New Hope, where they say rebel spies have stolen the plans of the Death Star. It's supposed to be their story, which I don't know how I feel about them going back, before and doing that and retreading that old ground, but I don't know.
If they do it good, I don't.
It just has to be good.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
As long as it's good, I don't care if they go back. I don't care if they.
It's going to be George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon. It's going to be like totally Ocean's 11.
Well, they keep on showing pictures of like the guys that Vader hires in Empires, like the bounty hunters, like IG-88, Boba Fett, Dengar, all those dudes. And it's not going to be them. It's probably going to be like somebody we've never heard of. But I think it's going to be cool. I think the spin-offs, have you heard of all the concepts for the spin-offs? They have like a Rogue Squadron.
I know, the Rogue Squadron. I know there's a Boba Fett.
Rogue Squadron would be amazing.
The Rogue Squadron is pretty cool.
But I'm kind of disappointed, though, because they did say that there was supposed to be a 7 Samurai-like film, but it was supposed to be like 7 Jedi. But I don't know. I guess Crooks would be just as cool. Heist movie in the Star Wars universe.
We shall see.
Yeah.
So other things that we will see right now, we have a picture of Patrick Stewart as a neo-Nazi from the upcoming Green Room. By the way, to me, he just looks like Walter White. He looks like an older Walter White.
Now you say it, I can't not see it.
You cannot
I didn't see that until you said it.
No, totally, like same outfit, everything.
But jackass behind him.
Is he in a wheelchair right now?
Our guest next week. That'll be awkward.
Is Patrick Stewart in a wheelchair in this?
I don't know, but he can control people with his mind in a weird spin. No, I'm kidding.
I can't see him as a villain.
Well, that's why I'm looking forward to it. Maybe it's an anti-hero kind of thing. That's the thing. It's the director. It's the guy's name is Jeremy Saulnier. He's the guy who did Blue Ruin. And we made a joke. We made a joke last week that like maybe his next film will be called like Yellow Anger or Red like Disdain or something. And I was just making a joke, but Jenny Nolflover at Gotcha Movies tweeted us and was like, no, like his next film is called Green Room. So I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of green in it and green tints.
Patrick, can you bring that photo up again? I wanted to see if there's any green in the picture. Just like a curiosity. Is
Patrick Stewart wearing any green?
Is there any green in that photo?
Is it sweater
at all?
green?
Not really.
It's kind of got a green
hue.
There's a green light behind it.
Good word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, interesting. How many movies this guy thinks he can do? Like with
there's a lot of colors. I mean, have you seen how many the big crayon box?
Come up with a name right now, Chris.
Magenta.
Or forest green.
No, that is nothing. Go to Home Depot and get
a movie title.
I thought you were just listing colors.
I could do this forever.
Sky blue, turquoise.
Nice. Those aren't really that creative, Chris. Those are main colors.
I know. I'm starting at the basics. Got to go somewhere. It's like,
All right. Well, Sony killed Steve Jobs. I don't know if you guys heard about that. It's a big conspiracy because of his iPods.
It needed no, it needed to happen. They've already made a movie. It wasn't
no. So, but here's the thing, Universal.
Yeah, but then it was a bad movie. Why can't you?
2 days ago, Sony killed that Steve Jobs movie. The Steve Jobs movie we've been talking about for a long time with Seth Rogen, and then at one point it was Christian Bale, and now it's Michael Fassbender. Danny Boyle was going to be directing. So it's been off and on for a long time.
Leo was attached at one point, wasn't he?
Leo DiCaprio was attached at one point. I know they wanted David Fincher originally. They wanted to bring back the Aaron Sorkin Social Network team. Anyway, so after back and forth forever, Sony finally killed it. Said no Steve Jobs movie. Right now, Universal's looking like they're going to pick it up. It's weird because 2 days ago it was completely dead. Sony dropped it, and then literally earlier today I just read a thing saying that Universal's looking to grab it.
Because there's so much potential. It's a property. It's like an adaptation, and it's the best technological story in the last 50 years. Anybody who's read his biography, like him or don't like him, it's obvious. And I don't. Why does it matter if they made a bad movie?
I don't know.
And they're going to release another movie in 2 years.
The story just got told, and we had this discussion earlier.
It's bad.
Who saw it though? Who even saw it?
We had this fight earlier where it's like Hollywood is running out of ideas. They're coming out with another Cinderella live action, and then what was that trailer, Into the Woods? Which has to do with Cinderella. It's like
Into the Woods. It's a completely different property.
But I'm saying, there's no creative ideas. It's like we keep retreading those same stories.
This isn't a new idea.
How does it affect you though?
Into the Woods is like a variation of Disney stories, right?
No, it's not Disney stories. It's just classical fairy tales.
I'm about to take certain Disney stories. I'm about to take the air out of your balloon right now. And there's Star Wars. Like that's something we keep going back to. Like why if people
shut up, Johnny! Leave us alone!
No, when it's our movie. You know, like movies are always. I mean, studios are always going to be rehashing old things just to make money.
It's the difference between franchise and retelling a story.
No, it's just between Hollywood films and like independent films. Like they're just trying to make money, and they know they're going to. Like they know they're going to make movies.
So you were in support of a film because they just want to make money.
No, I didn't say I was in support of it, but I understand why they're doing it.
3 things. 1, you got to make money in your first movie or never have a second movie. Point blank.
Yeah.
2. All these good original movies, they play at like the Regal Independent or Landmark theater movies, and people don't see them.
Yeah.
So you would have more movies like that if people saw them. So if anybody has an issue with those type of movies and they want more original movies, they're obviously in the minority or they're not seeing movies.
Well, we talked about last week, like Melissa McCarthy. Like you were like, you know, she's great in St. Vincent, and they're like, yeah, maybe she should start making Tammy. She goes, no, she's going to do another movie because people see those movies and they don't go see St. Vincent.
What was your third point?
The third thing was, what does it matter if they make another Star Trek, if they make another Spider-Man, if with only a few years, if they make another Cinderella? Like when you wake up in the morning, how are you like affected? Like, oh, they made a Cinderella movie 2 years ago.
It
gets me so much.
Playing devil's advocate, there are only so many. There's only so much money to make. In theory, you could put the money from a reboot or whatever into an original IP.
Yes.
And that could be a cooler experience. That being said, it's such a bigger risk for studios. They look at it as like risk mitigation.
Oh, totally.
They're like, okay, well, we could try this new IP, but no one's ever heard of, or we could do Spider-Man meets X-Men.
I assume, right, this Disney adaptation.
Let's see that.
I assume this Disney adaptation is. This adaptation of Cinderella is Disney, right?
You're talking about Into the Woods?
Yeah. No, not Into the Woods. The Cinderella. The live-action movie is Disney.
Yeah.
Please, man, if you could look this up, I'm pretty sure that the first animated Disney movie that was an actual original story is The Lion King, and that was mostly based off Hamlet. Disney's been doing adaptations of previous stories for a long time.
No. That's fine, but they're releasing 2 movies that share like same characters, and they're telling that same story.
Dude, there were 2 Wizard of Oz. There were 2 Wizard of Oz movies last year.
That's not.
It's Cinderella.
Can we go to Mandy?
Please.
She was actually in Into the Woods.
Hey, so first of all, everyone's yelling at you on Twitter, Blaine, because Into the Woods is not just about Cinderella. It's not.
I'm aware. It's got
no, you're not aware.
Red Riding Hood. It's got Goldilocks.
It's totally different though. Like it's a different.
But does it have Jedi in it?
Is there anybody furry? Is it anything that looks like an Ewok?
There's a wolf. And Mandy, I think in the trailer we did not see a giant wolf penis, right?
No, I was going to mention that actually.
Okay, Mandy, take it away.
Oh, okay. That was a big thing in like the Broadway musical because like I remember seeing that in like 8th grade. My drama teacher was like, because like the wolf has a big schlong. It's very obvious. And so that was a big debate.
We're bringing that word back, by the way.
That was a pretty big debate when it like, you know, they were going to make a movie out of it because Johnny Depp plays the wolf. But,
can you give us some background on the movie and or the play?
Yeah, sure. It's a Sondheim, and Stephen Sondheim is like a Broadway god. He's amazing, and it's just the first act. I will say it's a lot about the classic fairy tales. It's I wouldn't say it's a rehash, but it's
Cinderella.
An interpretation on it. But the second act is completely different. It's dark. Almost, I won't say almost. Well, yeah, I'll go say almost all the characters die. It's a very dark movie, but it's very good.
Blaine, do you have an issue with Ruby?
Whoa. Well, I mean, I'm obligated to say no because
no,
this company.
It's just funny listening because like I totally hear what you're saying, and if you think that like Hollywood is out of original ideas, they're not. They're literally in a drawer.
They're making those movies.
No, people like you always hear these stories. Like I remember Catherine, she wrote. I worked with her on a video project. She wrote the Addams Family's movie. She wrote She wrote. Like The Secret Garden, all these things. But she wrote a movie about Tesla, like a Nikolai Tesla movie.
That's cool.
No, and it's amazing. And they like the studio bought the script, just has it in a drawer. They buy them up so no other studios will buy these stories. Like this is a good story. We have to own this story. They will buy that shit, throw it in a drawer, and it'll stay in development hell for forever.
Yeah, and then they'll do bullshit like for I think the Hellraiser series.
Yeah,
they shot a Hellraiser movie that was basically like in somebody's backyard. Very like they spent I don't know like $50,000 on it. It didn't even have I can't remember the character who plays Pinhead, but they only did it because they technically had to make a movie
to keep the rights.
To keep the rights.
They did that with The Hobbit. Actually, they made a 15-minute Hobbit cartoon at one point in like the 70s or 80s or something.
Yeah.
No, not the one that you know of.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about they made it's literally like drawn pictures that just like push in.
Oh, like old time.
So, yeah, really shoddy movie.
Yeah.
Just so they retain the rights to the Hobbit.
Let me tell you this: if you think Hollywood should make more original stories, find the landmark cinema or whatever the equivalent is in your city, and there are 10 movies that you never heard of that are probably pretty good, and go see them.
Yeah.
Those exist. They're just
you have to go out of your way to find them.
You have to go out of your way to find them because they don't have like $100 million budgets.
Like I remember being like a teenager and seeing Billy Elliot and when I lived in Corpus Christi, Texas, and like Countryville. And there was one art theater. It lasted like 6 months. But when I was there, I got to see Billy Elliot, and it was like, wow, this is not at all like the movies that I see. This isn't like Orange County or like, all these like whatever Hollywood movies. But so yeah, that was, you got to go out of your way, and it's very important. Here's the catch-22 on that all, is you have someone who goes and raises money and makes an independent movie, makes their passion project, does really well. People start passing around. It might win awards. That guy gets to work with, bigger actors, kind of like the Blue Ruin guy. All his film had no names. Got a bunch. He did really well. Now he's got Patrick Stewart in his movie. And same with Gareth Edwards. He's doing a Star Wars movie. He did Monsters first. All these people do Colin Trevorrow.
It's like spec pieces,
yeah,
basically.
the guy who's doing Jurassic World did Safety Not Guaranteed. So these guys that make the passion projects in the original movies, they do really well. They get the attention of studios, and the next thing you know, they are directing the big tentpole blockbusters that we don't like.
Yeah.
So I mean, well, not always. We like some of them. I mean, when they're done well.
My final thoughts on the whole thing with sharing characters, I think it causes brand confusion. I think it takes away. So they had Maleficent, and then they had a Snow White and the Huntsman movie.
Different studios though. They're battling against each other.
I know, and that's kind of goes towards my point, which Disney is doing a movie that has shared characters, and I just want breathing room. I want these characters.
Hold on, really quickly. 2 words, all right? 2 words, people.
Oh God.
Free snacks. Yes, I'm gonna give you the chance to get free snacks. Drop the candy bar, drop the potato chips. They're not good for you. Do what I do. Do what I do. Get delicious, wholesome snacks at NatureBox.com. NatureBox gives me hundreds of snacks. I mean delicious snacks, and I don't feel guilty about eating them because they're better for me. They got 0 artificial flavor, colors, or sweeteners, 0 grams trans fat, and no high fructose corn syrup. You'll even find snacks with no added sugar and without gluten ingredients. So in the afternoon slump, when I'm hungry and irritable, here's what I do. I grab peanut butter nom noms from NatureBox, or baked sweet potato fries, or dark cocoa almonds. So good and so much better for you than other snacks options out there. And now I want to give you a chance to try NatureBox for free with a trial box featuring 5 of their most popular snacks. You heard me, free snacks. To start your free trial, go to naturebox.com/screenplay. Stay full, stay strong, do what I do, start snacking smarter. Go to naturebox.com/screenplay, get a free trial box of delicious snacks. You're welcome. All right, Blaine, rant on.
You know what would be cool?
What would be cool?
Like an Avengers type movie with all the Disney princesses, where they have to like,
or like what's that video game? Kingdom Hearts. That would be a cool film.
You may close your mouth, Meg Bomb.
Okay.
Everyone get as much stuff in your mouth as you can, and then talk in a microphone.
Of brand confusion, whatever. If you go see a movie, no matter what other movies were made, and you're like, this is really good. I've entertained. I maybe got teared up. I'm really happy. Isn't that the most important? In fact, the only consideration you should have?
I just think that when there's several movies that are sharing similar storylines or similar characters, it just takes away a little bit.
It's always going to happen. Deep Impact, Armageddon, like
Capote and
Dante's Peak,
I think Capote and Dark Blood, or
exactly.
Oh shit, what was his movie?
But it always happens, and then like the studios race to like hit that deadline and get to it first. Like it's not
Prestige and Illusionist.
Well, these are 2 bad movies, but like Attack on the White House or whatever, and then White House Down, and then Olympus Has Fallen.
But here's the thing: how many of those did you see in theaters?
None. Exactly.
So if if a studio's doing something or a movie you're pissed off that exists, just do what we all do. Just don't go see it. Don't give it any money. And that's your way of
And then they won't make that movie.
They won't make that movie.
Like Disney stopped making bad original films, or actually I don't know if it's original, but they had a string of bad live action films around the world in 80 days. Like basically what got Michael Eisner fired, and they're like, well, what works? Pixar works. Let's buy Pixar. Mandy, has anybody corrected me or fact-checked about the animated films?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I got Ghostbusters wrong last week.
Oh, that's right.
And I tried to own it in the comments.
You get called up?
Yeah, I got Extreme and Real Ghostbusters mixed up.
That's right.
So that was my bad.
But yeah,
I want to
Shun.
Fact check that shit.
That's why I'm here.
But yeah, that's the thing is like, if you don't like a movie or it sounds dumb, just don't watch it. But if it is good and you miss it and it falls through the cracks, usually because of word of mouth, you'll hear it come back.
Yeah.
Like Dread. Like I didn't give a shit about seeing a Dread.
Dread was good.
And then
Okay,
everyone
well.
wouldn't stop talking about it. And I finally like went out and got it and I watched it and it's amazing.
When
It's a
you're
great
in
movie.
Vegas, go to the Luxor Hotel and then look up. It's the exact same place as Dread.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it makes you feel like, man, this
the
hotel
Mega
kind of
City or whatever?
sucks. The pyramid.
My thoughts on the whole we're
Luxor
rebranding
Hotel?
and franchising
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't care as long as it's a good movie.
Exactly.
What Brandon's saying.
Yeah.
What I hate is whenever a franchise remakes a movie and it makes a bunch of money, but it's a horrible movie. But it makes a bunch of
Spider-Man.
money just because
Spider-Man 2,
it's like that.
yeah.
It's that tentpole franchise. Like, oh, it's Transformers 8.5.
So that's
Yeah.
why I
Let's
feel
go
like
see it.
that's why I'm just not a fan of these movies because they're just kind of like resting on their laurels and
But
they're
they're
just
also
retreading
you're-
old ground when
you're
they can.
also not their demographic. Like I guarantee you, Cinderella Into the Woods isn't trying to get like
Blaine
the Blaine Gibson workout extraordinaire.
They already got me with Marvel and
Yeah,
Star
they've got
Wars.
you. They've already got you in their pocketbook. They're
Yeah.
going for Mandy now.
Another example, though, of Disney learning what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Around the World in 80 Days,
Oh,
Jack
cool.
Chan.
Who wants to see
doesn't
that
work.
movie? No, who
But you know what
wants to see
does
that?
work?
Schwarzenegger's in it.
Marvel. Let's buy Marvel. Let's buy Star Wars,
Yeah.
and that'll work. Mandy, were you raising your hand?
Yeah, there is actually a few. There, Dumbo, which was going to be a novel. Like, there's a few, but I think Lion King is one of the biggest ones. But like, also there's Fantasia and just stuff that is original. But I think Lion
Oh
King
yeah,
was,
obviously.
Are you
Yeah.
referring to Disney things that didn't work, or
No,
original
things
ones.
that
like-
were completely original
Yeah.
stories
Oh.
versus adaptations
Got it.
of
Yeah.
other
Like the
stories.
Princess and the Frog, like Hans Christian Andersen, like his stories, like Little Mermaid and other, are really fucked up, and everyone dies in the end. So Disney always changes it up a little bit. But so we spent a lot of time kind of talking about how the movie industry works and letting Blaine know why two movies.
I
exist
just
at the same
imagine
time.
Blaine's gonna wake up in the middle of the night and like a cold sweat, be like Cinderella movies. There's so many.
Two of them.
What am I
But
gonna do?
so we didn't really get
I'm
to.
so confused.
We talked a little bit about Cinderella, but I definitely wanted to talk about the trailers for Cinderella and Pan. So here's the thing about the trailer for Cinderella is I watched the trailer and I feel like I see the entire movie in the trailer. And it's
you've already seen
You've
the entire
seen the-
movie.
and
Everyone's seen Cinderella.
it really is the
It's
cartoon
just
come to
saying,
life.
Hey, you want to see it again?
and Cinderella should know better than fucking go off with Rob Stark. She's gonna get killed, and everyone should know that.
She's gonna show up on her wedding day.
Oh, like I'm getting stabbed in the stomach, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be awful.
That's be awful,
Don't
yeah.
don't name your baby Ned. But
She's
yes,
pretty though.
yeah, she's
Cinderella.
cute.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Cinderella's gonna do really well. It did.
Helena Bottom Carter's the.
Oh, you can't do a Disney movie with fairies and dust and witches and stuff without having Helena Bonham Carter, obviously. But so Cinderella, it did what 4.4 something crazy. It made it was the fastest. It was the biggest viewed trailer in 24 hours on YouTube.
Which is crazy because, like, I guess speaking to like what your demographic is I didn't even know there was a trailer out for it.
I didn't even know. Yeah,
Until we were
talking about it.
And I was like, there's a Cinderella movie?
And it's directed by Kenneth Branagh, who directed Thor, and is also a really good actor. And as well, he's
He's a
really
huge Shakespeare guy,
He's a
yeah.
really big Shakespeare guy. So I'm curious to see that. Here's the thing. Okay, so I watched the trailer for Cinderella, and I watched the trailer for Pan, this prequel to Peter Pan.
Oh, I love
That
that.
looks
Great.
kinda
It looked
fun.
better than I expected it
Yeah.
to. It actually looked a lot better, and I enjoyed the music more than I expected to. Here's the thing. Here's why I'm leaning more towards Pan and it looks a little like Stardust with the flying ship.
Well-
but the thing about Pan is that it's a prequel of a story that maybe we're not too familiar with. Whereas with Cinderella, I'm like, I know this story already.
Yeah. Well, it's like Hook came out.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, everyone knows Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened after Peter Pan? And this is like, well, what happened before?
Yeah, and I think
So then it'd be kind of, you'll get the full kind of story.
So
And
glad
that-
that Hollywood is just like
and-
going through and just
Well,
really
and
exploring these universes.
They're
that we know
also,
nothing
they're doing
about.
the live broad.
Yeah, Broadway show.
because they need to
Peter
just
Pan.
make more of the same things. What they
But,
need to do.
look, man,
Get
I
off
watched
that note, man.
Neverland, Finding Neverland. Oh,
Finding Neverland.
That's an
was
amazing movie.
fantastic.
Do you even know what that movie's about?
do you even-
was it
do you
Whitney's
know?
in it or some shit? I don't know.
Do you know Johnny
That
Depp's
movie's
in
so
it?
good.
I didn't
That's
watch
what I'm
it.
saying. It's like so
Oh my
much Peter
God.
Pan stuff is so
All your
good.
points are just void now.
Because I lost interest because I was like, holy shit, I know what happens here.
The Disney cartoon, fantastic.
Great.
I watched it so many times. And there was a TV movie from the 70s or 80s
Yeah.
with a female Peter Pan, which is traditionally
what they do.
Peter. Loved it.
Finding
and then
Neverland's-
Hook is fantastic.
Really
it's such
quickly,
a great story.
Finding Neverland's about the author of Peter Pan and about how his life kind of translates to Peter Pan. So there's like a lot of moments in the movie where his life kind of is mirrored by the Peter Pan thing.
Yeah.
So it's
And
not a. I hate you so much right now.
No matter how old and grizzled and bitter you get, you're still a child inside.
It's
like,
an
that's the
original
message.
story, and that's what you wanted, you piece of shit.
Touche.
What do you got? What do you got, Andy?
I just want to say another movie like that I really love is Saving Mr. Banks, which is about very popular.
yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, that was really good.
I'm a really big fan of things that when they show the story of things that you love. Like there's a Peter Sellers movie on HBO that like shows him on set for like Doctor Strangelove and all like the Pink Panther movies and stuff. So I'm a big pushover for things like that.
Behind
like,
the
scenes, like what was happening whenever they made this movie or whenever they made this big project.
Yeah.
God damn, dude, I cried in Finding Neverland.
Oh, it's good, dude. That's a good fucking movie.
They should remake it 3 times. Release
Shit.
it all.
All right, so really
2 month
quickly,
period.
we got to speed past these, but there is a Splinter Cell movie. It's being directed by Doug Liman, who directed Swingers, but he also directed Go, which was a big movie in the 90s. And most recently, he directed Edge of Tomorrow, whatever title they call it this
nice.
week.
Yeah.
So that's a cool Splinter Cell movie being made. And then Oscar Isaac from Inside Llewellyn Davis.
Apocalypse.
And he's in a bunch of other stuff as well. He's also in the new Star Wars. He has now been casted and confirmed as Apocalypse and
That's
X-Men.
so weird,
because he's
man.
tiny. Well, he's
He
smaller,
is.
and Apocalypse is huge.
Apocalypse is infinitely huge.
It's gonna have
and
to be
infinitely
like
formidable.
when they show him in Egyptian ages. Like he's gonna have to be playing himself. But like, there's no way they can show Apocalypse like in the 80s, like they're gonna do in Age of Apocalypse, and not make him like mech, like huge.
They
don't
already
know.
showed him as like a boy in the end of no spoilers.
Yeah.
At the end of
Someone who's not familiar with his storyline, what happened?
Apocalypse is like one of the big bads. He's like this super duper mutant.
He's the
He's
first.
the mutant.
He's the first mutant.
Yeah.
And he's also literally the Apocalypse. Like,
yeah,
he has 4 horsemen, and
he's infinitely powerful.
And he's the first
eternal.
mutant?
yeah.
At some point, like in comic books with the big bads, they're able to freeze him or make him asleep. That's why I
you
haven't
can't
seen
do that to
him. But
Apocalypse.
yeah, in the current storyline, he's huge. Like he's part machine, or there's some aspect of it, and he can infinitely grow. And yeah, he'll usually find like 4 mutants and like fuck him up, and that'll be his.
Yeah, there's a whole storyline he did with like with Archangel. Or
Ripped off his wings.
he turned
There's
Angel.
some of the great-
He turned Angel from X-Men, who literally had real angel wings, and he turned him into an evil angel.
He made him
into
interesting.
Archangel, which with the metal wings and the bombs and everything.
Those are some of the best episodes
Those
of
are
the
some great- that's a
X-Men
great
animated
X-Men
series.
storyline.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so and he's also the guy who built the pyramids. If you at the end of Days of
Is he?
Futures Past, they show like him building the pyramids. and you're
just
like,
like
oh.
with just like telekinesis,
and everyone's
It's pretty great.
chanting his name. It's a great stinger ending.
Yeah. So shit. What was the guy that he played the big bad in Guardians? He's not a big guy in real life.
Lee Pace
He looks fucking massive in
from
Guardians.
Pushing Daisies.
He looks huge, but like he's not that big of a guy. So it's
The guy
the
from
guy who
Pushing
played
Daisies
Thanos?
is the
yeah,
villain
so,
in
not
Guardians.
Thanos. That's Roland.
Yeah, the Ronin.
Ronin, right. Ronin was a really big.
They made him
formidable-
look huge.
So they're probably going to just do the
main
same
character in
treatment.
Pushing Daisies?
Yeah, the main character in Pushing Daisies.
That's crazy.
They'll do the
Did you just find that
same-
out right now, Andy?
He's like an incredible actor.
He's
I've
really
seen him
great.
in
Look,
lots of
I love it how
stuff.
people. I love it how not even just the audience, but even everyone here, like Andy and Chris, are like, "Whoa, I did not know that. That's crazy." He's learning screenplay. Who knew? All right, so we're gonna move over to TV, and then we're gonna talk about movie book club of the week. But before we do, I really want to just cut to a really quick interview. It's about like a minute and a half. Every now and then we get to meet directors when they're in town, and I always want to talk to them about like what are the movies that they like and what filmmakers they look up to. So I get to hang out with Francis Lawrence, who did I Am Legend, Constantine. He did the most recent Hunger Games movies. So he was in town last week. Got to chat with him. So these are the directors that Francis Lawrence likes. Well, let me ask you, as far as a filmmaker, what spoke to you? Like maybe at a young age, like what films made you say like I think I want to do films?
Well, I always loved movies, and one of the first videotapes that I ever owned was Jaws, and so I grew up watching the Spielberg movies, and and obviously Star Wars that hit when I was, I think, about 7. And those movies were a huge influence, and I wanted to be a part of that. I loved the kind of world creation. I loved the sort of mythology of a bunch of those stories, and I saw everything in high school. And I remember there was a period where I saw Raising Arizona, the Coen Brothers movie Raising Arizona, and it kind of blew my mind. and that and After Hours by Martin Scorsese, and it made me want to go to film school. And so I started taking a film class in high school, and you know, that's when I saw the classics. I saw Battleship Potemkin and M and Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and you know, just all these great movies. And you know, my mind just kept getting blown, and I applied to film school and went to film school, and kind of all went from there.
Nice. And you talk about the Coen brothers, and are there any of your contemporaries that whenever they release a film, you're, oh, I'm going to be the first day, like, you know, are there anyone right now in the field as directing as you are that you just are a big fan of?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of certain people. I mean, I've been a fan of David Fincher's work. I mean, from I discovered Fincher when I just started making videos. He was the sort of veteran, amazing video director, commercial director. So I've been tracking him since then, and I'm a huge fan of his movies now. And always have been. I love, you know, everything the Coen brothers do. Their stuff's amazing. Alfonso Cuarón, Alejandro Inarritu. I mean, those guys, I mean, you know, can pretty much do no wrong in my eyes.
So there was an interview with Francis Lawrence, really cool guy. Here's the thing is, like, there's always been a discussion on I Am Legend. Like, people hate the ending, and then they made another ending that didn't test really well. So I asked him about that, but I asked him when we were, like, packing up and there was no cameras rolling, and he just opened up, and I really regret not having that on camera. But I asked him, I said, hey, which ending do you like? Because people on the internet say this ending's better, some people say this is better. I go, do you like this ending or the alternate ending? He goes, none of them. I like the ending in the book. I wish they would have used it, but it was too nihilistic for the studio. And it blew my mind that he was like, yeah, I don't really like any of the endings. So that's
pretty intense.
So
yeah.
You sent an article about people from Mockingjay using protesting the signal in actual, like, real life, and getting arrested for it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So life
Thailand,
is actually
then.
life is really imitating art, and they're starting to use that symbol as their own. So there's a few photos. And here's the thing is, whenever I was at the press conference with all the cast and crew, there was an Asian reporter, I believe she was Chinese, was talking about how the films are being not released in certain countries
because they incite revolution.
Well, also, and a lot of people they're like, do you think it's because of the message, because it's about propaganda, and this hits a little too close for these governments? Because they had a whole press tour booked for Asia, and then they just got dropped literally last minute. And when that lady asked a question, it's like, this is a hard-hitting question, but these are all like celebrities. And this isn't the stuff they're used to being asked. Like, it really it sucked the air out of the room, and everyone was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, and they were really nice about it, and they said, you know, we wanted to go. But, so it's this weird thing. And Francis Lawrence has come out and said, you know, the last thing I want is fans of the film to go out and get arrested.
Yeah.
But,
well, I think it speaks to how well done Catching Fire was, and obviously the new movie, and how it portrays that hand signal.
Yes.
As like a face. It's like so subtle. You know, it reminds me a lot of the Black Panther salute. Yeah. Like, it's just like solidarity in the face of injustice, and it leads to, you know, them getting hurt. Yeah. But I think they do it so well in the movie. That's why it does speak to people.
Well, we spent a lot of time talking about how awful Dumb and Dumber 2 was, but Brandon, I know how I felt about the movie. How'd you like it?
I really loved it.
Mockingjay. We're not talking about Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. I love Mockingjay. I feel like in the same way of Harry Potter Part 1 of the last movie, they spent a lot of time building up to this mentality of what's going to happen, and the, you know, experience the characters are going through in order to build to that final climax. And I think a lot of people were disappointed they didn't see the whole movie or the whole book. I think a lot of people said, well, it should have just been one movie, but I enjoyed seeing that change, because Jennifer Lawrence's character in the first two movies has never been hardcore revolution. She's kind of fallen into it. She's kind of said some things reluctantly. She did have like a couple moments with the hand signal and the girl, but this is really the story of her becoming a revolutionary and becoming part of the cause. And I thought that story was cool, and I think that's what speaks to so many people when it comes to like exploitation and when it comes to like oppression. So I thought it was really good in that way, but I can see people who were disappointed with maybe the pace of it or how much they got accomplished in it. But I thought it was great. Like I said on Twitter, I think it was the top 2 movies of the year so far, but we haven't seen all the Oscar bait movies come out yet. So I don't know where it's going to end up, but I really thought it was fantastic.
That's a good sum up of it.
Is part 2, is that like shit's going to hit the fan, like all conflict?
I'm sure. I don't know the book.
And from what I've heard, it's similar in Harry Potter in the sense that like their main characters will perish.
Really?
Yeah. So like that's a big game changer.
You've always been very adamant about the Hunger Games series, so I'm really interested in seeing. I need to read that.
I thought the first movie was okay.
Yeah.
The second movie to me was really amazing.
Yeah, the second movie really sold me. I watched it actually. I think it was yesterday. I was editing and I just had it on the background. I caught myself watching a lot of it. It's really good. Andy, really quick, let's get the movie quote. I know it's They Live, John Carpenter. Who's the person who got it?
The first one who got it was Mike Glock, and it's Roddy Piper who plays who's Nada in the movie.
The wrestler?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, he was
Roddy Piper?
Roddy Piper's the lead in that movie.
I had no idea.
No, what's really crazy about that movie is like, so there's a scene where him and this other dude, they like, because he has the glasses and he's like, you can't see the aliens and you can't see the propaganda of the world. Like that whole obey like text in the Andre the Giant thing, that started in that movie. Like that's where all that font is from. But there's a scene where he gets his friend, he's like, put on these glasses. And he's like, no, I don't want to put on the glasses. So he like literally fights, him and his friend have this huge, like, it's almost like 6, 7, 8 minute brawl.
Keith Davis or Keith David?
I think I think it's Keith Davis. They have this way too long of a fight. It's almost so funny.
Awesome.
But South Park, they did a scene where when Jimmy and Timmy fight each other, and like they have like the fight lasts for way too long. They did a shot for shot fight sequence from that movie. They Live.
That's awesome.
They really committed to it. But yeah, that movie's fucking amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so really quickly before we talk about our movie book club of the week, which was Clue, which coincides with 10 Little Roosters, which is our whodunit mystery video series we're doing here at Rooster Teeth. Really quickly, I want to talk about Constantine. The show came out since it's already being canceled by NBC. The Star and people from the show are asking you to use the hashtag Save Constantine and to send it to NBC.
Save our blues.
So that's a bummer. Let us know on RT Screenplay hashtag or on the comments how you felt about Constantine. Have you been keeping up with it? From what I've seen and from what I've heard on the internet, is it's one of those shows that just got really good the more episodes came out. It got better and better. So that's a bummer because apparently no one was watching it. Legend of Korra gets their budget cut. And they went through a lot of shit last season with Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon taking their show off the TV and only putting it on the web for a while. Then they put it back on TV after like a bunch of fans freaked out. But now what they did is they slashed their budget to the tune of an entire episode. So they had two options. They said we could either cut back on our staff and fire people, or we can do one episode that is all just a clip show. And they were like, the clip show is the easiest thing. So they've been getting some slack because apparently the episode's like not that great, but it's kind of like makes fun of the situation.
It's funny. They do it in a much more clever way in Arrested Development. And
yeah.
I guess
when they talk about HBO and stuff?
Well, no. It's in the second season where they talk about how they were supposed to have 19 episodes, but it went to 17, and they were relating that to, I think, a project.
To how many houses they're supposed to build on a project.
Yeah.
So well, you initially told us we were supposed to build 23 houses.
Yeah.
And now you're telling us 19?
Yeah.
How are we supposed to do this? I mean, it completely ruins the entire foundation of the project and blah, 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 blah.
Well, in that same vein, I was scouring the internet last week and I found some really cool finds. I found that Angry Beavers, which was a show on Nickelodeon.
I love Angry Beavers.
So they got canceled early. They got axed before they wanted to get axed. And so they did a whole episode, which was kind of making fun of Nickelodeon, where they realized that they're cartoons on a network. And they realized they're like, real beavers can't do this. Look at me, like real beavers don't have houses and wear clothes, But here's the whole thing. So Nickelodeon didn't let them make that episode, but that didn't stop the guys from Angry Beavers and the voices of recording it. You can you can listen to the entire last episode of Angry Beavers. Like it's on a YouTube link somewhere, but it's not animated. It's just the voices. But it's like really, they're knocking on like Nickelodeon about like not promoting them enough, and so it's kind of funny when people go out, on a fight. So,
did you like the Angry Beavers?
Yeah, I loved it.
Are you mad that that's an adaptation of The Odd Couple?
So how did the
No, there's no digging out of that.
Was it your joke?
No, it is.
It's The Odd Couple.
Yeah,
basically.
totally.
Okay.
It's The Odd Couple. It's like somebody was watching The Odd Couple and was like,
what if they were beavers?
Yeah.
Just give him. That is the genius of Brandon Farmahini. He had no idea I was going to talk about the Angry Beavers. He just pulled that out of his back pocket. That was amazing.
So how did Arrested Development get by with doing that commentary on their show?
The studio had no control over them. I mean, they did whatever they want. Like there was this video that went viral of David Cross just like slamming the studio, slamming Fox for not promoting it. He's like, you got this goddamn, show that wins a bunch of awards. So maybe the marketing department is the one to blame. So I just think they got away with anything.
Whenever a show wins a lot of awards really early in, I'm like, oh, they're gonna get canceled.
Yeah. I guess they didn't get away with it.
They're too smart. They're too smart for their audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was one of those shows that was ahead of its time. Like Family Guy was ahead of its time, and then people had time to like really appreciate it, and then it came back.
Because you go to your friend's house, they have it on DVD.
Yeah, they came back
because DVD.
It's not the same. Yeah, it wasn't as good. But.
It took a while. All right, so moving on. Our movie book club of the week is Clue, which is a fun little movie, and it's got a lot of faces that you see mostly play kind of supporting character cast. You never really see them as the stars, but they're also good. Michael McKean on the very far right there, you might know from all the Christopher Guest movies, and I believe he was in SNL. He was in a Short Circuit as well. This woman who it is. Yeah, this woman who is not Susan Sarandon, but God, she looks just like Susan Sarandon, and man, is she fun to look at. There she is. She is very pretty. And then, so you have obviously Tim Curry,
Madeline Kahn,
Madeline Kahn,
she's
Christopher
awesome.
Lloyd, and what's the guy's name? God, he was on Roseanne. Martin Mull, I think is his name. Mole, there you go, Martin Mull. He's really great.
Tim Curry's amazing.
Tim Curry's amazing. Tim Curry's explanation scene in this movie alone is worth the price of admission. When he's running around, and then you went here, and then she went to the kitchen, and then he jumps on the ground. He's playing he actually plays the dead bodies when he's on the ground. And
then
stuff.
You freak out.
You think he died?
The second time they're just waiting for him, and then he gets up. He's like, and then the dead body was over here.
Yeah, and his face gets all red, and he's super frantic.
Yeah,
they just skip past. The best part was I am your singing telegram. Boom. I laughed my ass off.
Now this movie is so good.
It was awesome.
I think it'd be really cool to almost write down exactly what happened in the end, or even in multiple versions,
and see if it matches up.
Then rewatch the whole movie.
Yeah,
and then look for that.
Well, here's the thing people don't know is, okay, when you watch the movie like on Netflix, I think I saw it on HBO like a long time ago, but in the movie that you watch, they tack on all these different endings on how it could have ended. That's not how the movie got released. A lot of people don't know that. The movie, it depended what theater you went to or what screening you saw. Like, the movie had different endings, and it bombed for that sole reason alone. Because I feel like the only reason the ending makes it works so much better if you see all the different endings. If you see just one ending, it's a little weird.
I think the last ending in the version that we saw,
where the butler has a hand in it,
satisfy me because it's everybody did it.
Yeah, everyone had a hand.
They get around the whole thing of like, well, they have to pick somebody arbitrarily. And Mr. Green says it in the end, like, it was me. Yeah,
I shot the butler. I'm gonna go sleep with my wife.
That's the best ending line. Because he the whole time he's like, I'm a homosexual, and at one point, like,
it was so sad. Like, the guy, he sat down, and then the guy got up, and I was like, oh, that's messed up.
Oh, it's timed. What the time period was.
Nice.
But no, he's great, and I love it. So he plays the homosexual character, and at one point the hot chick needs someone to come with them, and all the guys are like, me, and he's like, I'm fine. But at the very end, he has that great line where he's like, I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife,
and then it cuts the music.
It's ridiculous.
They do the actual line from the game. It was me in the
hallway with the revolver.
Yeah. To me, the line that epitomizes that whole movie is a Tim Curry line. I struggle to remember it verbatim, but it's basically what I said was true but misleading.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing how they can play with words and they can play with truths and completely mean something else than what the audience is comprehending. And they're always ahead of the audience.
Yeah.
And a part of that's how quick it is, but they're always trying to have you catch up with what's going on. And that's what makes everything in front of you a surprise.
Yeah. Blaine, you'd never seen this before.
Yeah, last night was my first time watching it. And
who did you think did it?
I actually predicted somewhat correctly. I knew it was Scarlett. So the original ending, I was like, "Ha, got it!" And then, my secondary was Tim Curry's character, the butler. So then when it ended up kind of being the butler, I don't know, but ultimately,
you can't be the butler in the game, right?
No,
he's not a character.
Well, they kind of changed stuff up, like Mrs. White. Mandy, I don't know if you could fact check this. I believe Mrs. White is the maid.
Oh, in the game?
Oh,
no, wait, Mandy, I want to know, because go and look this up. I want to know what other movie, what other board game-based movies are there besides obviously Battleship. I also want to state that Mr. Body...
a Candyland movie?
I think they may have done one. I don't think so, actually. But, okay, so when Mr. Body gets introduced, even as a kid, I was semi-familiar with the game Clue. So when they introduced Mr. Body, even as a kid, I was like, he's going to die. His name is Mr. Body.
No, which is really funny. It's like, where's Mr. Body's body?
Yeah, it was nobody. And there's a scene whenever they all they're literally moving the dead bodies. It's like, it's funny, but on a real level, it's really creepy that they're just like.
I mean, I saw this movie when I was like 7. Yeah. And I thought it was awesome. I was like, this is so funny.
Even when they're making out with the dead bodies so they don't get a kill.
God,
that is so fucked.
I just love every time they're running on screen, which is half the movie. I can't do anything but laugh.
The physical comedy in this movie is
tremendous.
Perfect.
Oh, dude, the script is so good.
It's like Buster Keaton type.
Well, yeah, it's like come over here, boom, wah, boo, wah, wah.
Take that microphone.
Yeah. They just do it really well. It's like you look at a movie that does physical comedy well. It's like go look.
My favorite line is when J. Edgar Hoover calls and he's like, J. Edgar Hoover's on your phone. And they're like, why is J. Edgar Hoover on your phone? And he's like, why not? He's on everyone else's.
Yeah,
I was like, that's
it's
great.
super clever.
Funny.
It's like
it's
NSA.
interesting. On the alternate endings, Red vs. Blue did the same thing with episode 100, which was the finale of season 5. There's the main ending, which most people are familiar with, but there's also another ending where everybody is killed, like one after the other. Caboose is the last one alive, and then he dies. And there's also one where it turns out all of Red vs. Blue took place in a Japanese video game.
Nice.
But it was funny because when I first started working here, I hadn't seen the whole show, and I was looking up the files, and I didn't know how they were organized. And then I watched that episode where everybody dies, and I was like, well, this is strange. Bernie...
kind of a downer.
Yeah,
that was a really good ensemble cast. So, and it reminded me of a what's up?
Oh yeah,
you keep talking.
yeah.
Sorry, it reminded me of a Mel Brooks movie.
No, I could see that. It definitely felt like Mel Brooksy, also like a little bit of Robert Altman in there.
Absolutely. That's a really, really good.
Yeah, it
comparison.
definitely felt like some old Altman films. What do you got, Andy?
Yeah, Mrs. White was actually the maid in the board game originally. Also, according to trivia, it was the first board game movie.
Awesome.
And there was a plan to make a Candyland movie with Adam Sandler, but I think it turns out...
Oh, God, I just saw that in my head.
it ended up
No,
getting
the
sued.
legacy of board game movies, we got greats like, Battleship and Ouija and just some good ones.
Great. Go ahead.
More quick question. What are your thoughts seeing that movie after being involved in 10 Little Roosters and like how they kind of like...
I was like, well, I mean, I think 10 Little Roosters is doing it right, but like I was like, these guys, this is like years ahead of its time. Like, I mean, they were just freaking brilliant. The writing was so on point and clever, and like the physical comedy and all that stuff. But man, the chemistry of the cast was just amazing.
Yeah.
Like I would love to see that same cast of people do a different story because it was so funny.
Yeah, they were all so different, and there wasn't like a lot of latitude. Like they all kind of stuck to a specific character.
I know, and
but there were so many, and they worked so well together.
Tim Curry deserves
like they
more,
all had their own archetype.
Tim Curry deserves more credit. So I think we all admit that we like this movie. We suggest it. In future shows, I wanted to tell you guys this thing I've always wanted to do. I wanted to do these living tribute kind of things, because when Robin Williams passed, it was sad, and when Felicity Hoffman passed, it was sad because everyone's making these videos about how much they treasure them. You look at these videos, you go like, man, they are amazing. They did so much, but like they're not going to watch these videos. You know what I mean? So I feel like every once in a time we should pick someone who's still alive
that we think
that might not be alive for a longer, and we get like a bunch of people like to like tweet and be like, hey, just so you know, you're awesome.
Yeah. And we think you might die.
We think you might die.
Is that gonna make you feel good?
Sure.
Man, these people really think I'm gonna die soon.
So at the end, we just show a picture of them at the bottom. We have the year they were born.
And then marks.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So it's a bad idea. Thanks, assholes.
So I was asking.
We'll wait until they die.
I was asking. I came back here and they were just finishing up the podcast, and I was talking all about Clue, and I was like, what's other good Tim Curry? And of course they said
Rocky
Horror.
Rocky Horror,
yeah.
Congo. He's also, everyone knows him, Home Alone 2. These are just movies with Tim Curry, not necessarily good
But
movies.
I want to see Tim Curry.
He's the clown in
it's
It.
terrifying. Yeah.
Real,
He's scary as
Yeah,
fuck.
Pennywise.
And he's the devil in Legends, I think. Is it
Legends.
Oh, is he?
That's what Jack was saying.
Yeah, with Tom Cruise. Anyway,
I didn't know that.
Anyway, we're going along. He's a frightening devil.
I guess we don't have time for me to ask Chris a Back to the Future question.
No, save that for next week.
All right,
because that's a really good one. All right, so we'll talk about Back to the Future next week. But so I have some movies that I wanted to pick for next week. I don't know. Some of these are hardcore. It's Thanksgiving week. You might be with your family. On this list, I got Submarine, Amelie, Pulp Fiction, Stand By Me, which is a great movie, The Virgin Suicides, Heathers, Punch Drunk Love, or Man on Wire, which is a good doc.
That's a good one.
Punch Drunk Love is pretty polarizing, but I don't know if I would pick it. Let me see the list.
Thanksgiving is also on the list. If you've never seen that, it's about a turkey that kills a bunch of people. Clayton is really excited about it. You know what? Don't watch Thanksgiving. Just watch the first 10 minutes on Netflix and then be like, yeah, that's probably better you didn't. The turkey says something really fucking awful.
My vote was either that.
What do you guys? Maybe Amelie. Should we go with Amelie?
I would. All right.
I think it'd be our first foreign film.
Yeah, for
We've done
Thanksgiving,
foreign.
Stand By Me, I think is like the best kind
That's
of
a
like.
good movie.
Yeah.
I think by the next episode, like this Thursday's Thanksgiving, so it's kind of like off. Like if there was supposed to be a week for us to watch Thanksgiving, it would have been this week.
Okay, so either Stand By Me or Amelie. Stand By Me or Amelie.
My vote was Man on Wire.
Let's go with Stand By Me.
All right.
Okay.
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me.
Patrick wants to end the show.
Yeah,
so
Patrick's like, Stand By Me. Hurry the fuck up. You guys are going forever.
Can we watch the Christmas? At some point, can we watch that Christmas movie where Bill Goldberg, the wrestler, is Santa Claus?
Of course. I look forward to that.
And he kills everybody.
So check out this week. It's Stand By Me. It's got a young River Phoenix, Joaquin Phoenix's brother. It's got a chubby Jerry O'Connell. It's got a really young Kiefer Sutherland, and then a really small cameo by Richard Dreyfuss. But check it out. Stand By Me. We'll see you guys next week. You guys enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we'll talk movies with you next time.